doesn't matter how much you've read. You have read from one book, two book, 10 books. What is important is how much you've understood. Okay. So what are we going to do today? I am going to talk to you about first and most importantly, what is the structure of the exam. Okay. So many of you have been taking this as a first, second paper. There are people who have joined us last year and they have successfully cleared 2 or 3 papers, and probably this becomes the last paper. It depends on how you're doing it. But FAR is a very good first paper to start with. Okay, for the simple reason that the concepts that you do in FAR is very, very interesting, even though the coverage is a lot. But the interest level and the idea that you can connect this paper with a lot of personal details, a lot of stories that you go around. The connect with FAR is very, very intense because everybody knows financial statements. There are so many stories. So if I start talking to you about Enron or Satyam or Biojuice, it's so much easier to relate to these stories, right? That's the reason why finance is 100% practical paper, very easy to relate. And even though coverage is high, but serves as an excellent first paper to start with. Okay, so what are we going to do today? We're going to talk about a couple of things. Now, it's very important to know what changed in FAR. Okay, even though there are people like Rajshri and Sunita who would be taking this paper under the new curriculum, but it always makes sense to understand what has changed in the paper. Why? Because when you see the change in the paper, it is so much easier to understand what is it that they're trying to test you now. Okay, so you need to know what happened earlier and what is going to happen now, because wherever there are going to be changes, typically those are areas that we need to concentrate a lot in today's in their exam sessions. Okay, so we are going to first talk about what is the exam structure. Since it's 100% online paper, you need to know what is the interface, how would you be taking the paper, what kind of questions are you going to get, what is the time allocation. So we're going to talk about all of that in the first part. Then we're going to talk about the content. What has changed in the content? So for people like Shruti or Nagesh who would have studied FAR or have some idea about FAR in the earlier session, and even for those who've just joined it this year, guys, just keep yourself, the video should be off, right? Everybody, Nagesh, get your video off, please. Okay. Uh, Sorry. And I think I need to pin myself. Yeah. Okay, so we are going to talk about what changed in the curriculum. Why is it very important? Because we need to know the shift, and I'll also tell you the basic structure that underwent to change. Okay, the new sections that have been added and what has been the attempt. Okay, then I'm going to talk about the strategy. See, clearing CPA with excellent marks is a matter more of strategy than of intelligence. It's not difficult to clear CPA. The biggest hurdle are two. First hurdle is when we did our last exam, maybe when we did CA. Then we were seekers, right? We used to have our parents coming and serving us coffee and tea in the night, and we had no responsibilities. But a paper like CPA is not a 2 months, 3 months crush paper. It's a paper that needs at least 10 to 12 months of consistent studies. And I'm assuming most of you are going to do it with your work and with your family. That means you've now suddenly become a provider, you have deliverables, and you have an exam which is as intent. I would not say it's as intent as CA or your other exams, but it is considerably, it's a considerably bulky course to clear. So, what is very important and what would set you apart are certain strategies. If you master those strategies, and I genuinely feel that 3 weeks, if you're able to master the strategies, and after that, for the next, so see, our curriculum is for exactly 12 weeks. It may stretch by one more week, but typically we try to stick to our to what a deliverable is, because the time is of essence in CPA. So let's say we take 12 weeks time. I am expecting that all of you should be able to write your papers in 16 weeks time. So, what we're trying to do is we're trying to help you understand your own strategies and then just stick to it. So, for 3 weeks, we are trying to help you understand a strategy and form a strategy. And then for the balance 13 weeks, I just want you to click and stick to that strategy like a clock. If you can do that, then we have converted your 16-week arduous task to just 1 week. I want you to break down and just think about 1 week deliverable. If you can do that, you will be able to clear your exams in time. It is not a difficult paper. It's a very interesting paper, but it's a paper that needs consistent, disciplined study. Okay, so my job as a mentor is to help you guys make your own strategies and then stick to it. What we have at Pixalearn is a very good peer group, because most of the people who join us, like you may have 10, 12 people in the live class, but there are an equivalent number of people who are doing it through recorded lectures, for the simple reason that their office timings clash or their geographical locations clash. But at any point of time, there are some 50 to 20 people who are going to write their exam in the next 4 months. So you have a very good group. Please utilize that. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the strategies, and in the end, I'm going to talk about, for those of you who has joined Pixalearn for the first time, I'll help them with the Pixalearn LMS. And for those of you who are with UWorld, I'm going to let you know how to use the UWorld and the Pixalearn LMS platforms throughout the entire curriculum. If you have any questions, please write in the chat panel. Please do not just unmute, because that is going to break the rhythm of the class. Write your questions in the chat panel. I will unmute you. It's a completely two-way communicative class, and I have been a online dedicated faculty for a very long time now. So somehow I feel that the online versus the physical thing does not make much difference. At least for me, I think it doesn't make any difference. So the only thing is, just we need to have some kind of a discipline so that we are able to maneuver through the class efficiently. If you have questions, we will unmute you, and we will have a two-way communication as well. Okay. Now, first, let's start with the examination structure. What is the structure of the exam? And it's very important that you need to understand what has changed in order to know what is it that you'll have to concentrate really well now. Now, see, we all know that AICPA is the body that administers the accounting paper, the CPA paper. The curriculum is administered by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. So there is a blueprint which, if you guys are already on the Pixalearn LMS, you will see that I have uploaded a blueprint, okay, which you will see under the General tab. There is a AICPA blueprint that I have uploaded. You can just click on the Start tab. Otherwise, also, if you want, now this is an annotated blueprint, so that will really help you drive home whatever we are talking in the class very fast. But otherwise, if you want, it's a good idea that whenever there's a change, even if there's a minor change in syllabus, AICPA comes up with its examination blueprint. And somehow I feel that it's not just UWorld or Becker. So you can click here. This is a document that I have uploaded on the platform. This is actually the syllabus that AICPA has provided to all the students who are going to be tested beyond 2024. So as far as I'm concerned, I follow this syllabus. Okay, the content providers have all tried to adhere to this syllabus. UWorld has actually gone ahead and linked every topic with the syllabus that is given by the AICPA. But I want to expect you guys, and I'll guide you how you should be taking this as a cornerstone to understand what are the topics that you really need to excel in. What are the topics that you can do it only for the MCQ level? We're going to talk about that. Okay, so if you look at the AICPA curriculum, pre 2024 and post 2024, it says very clearly that earlier the FAR paper used to be of 4 hours, out of which you used to have two sections. One was MCQ, you would have two testlets. Okay, there would be two MCQ testlets of 33 questions each. So the paper would begin with, and how does a live CPA paper look like? You will have one section. Let's say the first section is an MCQ section. For 33 questions, you can navigate throughout. And the moment you submit, you go on to the next section, which is section 2 of another MCQ testlet of 33 questions. So through the session, you can navigate, but once you cross that section and go to the next section, you cannot go back to the earlier sections. So we used to have some testlets for case study testing, and we used to have some setlet for multiple choice question. And everything is 100% objective. There is nothing which involves any kind of subjectivity. Okay, sorry, 100% objective. There was no subjectivity that is involved in the paper. That means everything is something which can be broken down into half mark, 1 mark, 2 mark, and you would be able to solve it. The only challenge is you never know which one has more weightage, which one has less weightage. So it typically means that there's no negative marking. That's number one. So the paper has no negative marking. So we expect everybody to attempt all the questions. Because if anything is left, the chances at least you could have got 25% possibility of getting a right answer if it's an MCQ. But if you leave it, you get zero straight away. So first is no negative marking. The questions have weightage, okay? But what is the weightage? You never know. Okay, which means I can have a question even with zero weightage. We call them pre-test questions. That means in the exam that you're going to have, there would be some MCQs which will be pre-test. That means you will attempt it, but there will be no marks for it. One of the sims would always be a sim with no questions or no weightage attached to it. But the funny part is, you would not know the weightage. You would not know what is having a high weightage, what is it which has zero weightage, what is it that is easy, difficult. Nothing would know. For you, it's 100% paper that you have to attempt genuinely because you don't know which one has what weightage. Okay. Now, technically, you need minimum 75% marks to clear. So it's an objective paper, which means think of a visual paper where everything can be broken down into 1 marks and it's possible to get 100 out of 100. But the biggest problem is that there's an idiot box who tests your paper. That means there's a computer code which has no emotion. So when it's a live person who's testing your paper, we know that this guy has done, something as simple as this. Okay, there are columns, let's say, and I have to feed in some inputs here. So if I leave it blank, a person would know that blank means zero. Computer would not know that, which means you have to follow the instruction very well. They will tell you in every place wherever there's an input. See, if it's an MCQ, it's very simple. You just have to select it. But when you go to something called case studies, there will be areas where you're going to input. And you have to read the instruction very well because they're going to clearly tell you all the numbers have to be in positive value. The numbers cannot be left blank, otherwise, it will be taken as unattempted. Wherever there is blank, put a zero. The negative values have to be in minus or in brackets. So they are going to instruct you and you have to follow it to the letter T because the computer knows a language which is fed to it. So if it had to have a zero and you leave it blank, it will be taken as no attempt and you will not get any marks out of it. So following instruction becomes very, very important. Since the pass mark is 75%, the biggest and the most pathetic situation is when a student is stuck in 70 to 75 bracket. Trust me, there have been students in a batch who have who've got 73, 74, and it's really sad, because you were so near, but you failed because this is a computer checking your paper. So when we check it as humans, there's a tendency to know, oh, the student knows. So we kind of give a grace mark. But that's not going to happen with a computer-based paper. So this has to be something which is so the way you prepare, you have to prepare yourself so that you're somewhere in 90 plus category. That means if you take the examination pressure aside, somewhere between 80 to 85 you will land. So the key is to prepare yourself in such a way that you are not stuck in the 70 to 80 bracket. It should be way above that so that even if allowing a margin of error, you land yourself into 80 to 85 bracket, never below 80 bracket. That's the aim as a student. Okay. What is happening now? Now see, FAR is a very, very interesting shift that has happened in FAR. They have drastically reduced the number of MCQ questions. 16 questions have been reduced. This is a paper that has reduced the MCQ to the highest level. Even the sims have gone down. You will see in other papers the shift is not that drastic. Also, I'll tell you what has been the philosophy earlier and what is the philosophy now. See, there are three core papers in CPA, which remains the same. Even earlier it was it, and even now it is the thing. So what we used to say that you need to know about US GAAP, you need to know about audit because this is the key skill of an auditor, and you need to know about US taxes and some form of business law which you should be aware of. So this was the core paper. And what we did earlier was everything else we used to put in BC. So these were papers which were not directly related to an accountant's job, but these were papers that knowledge was important for a CPA in order to survive in the accounting division. So we said, see, you need to know a little bit about economics. So some basic idea about micro and macroeconomics used to be tested. Then we said that, see, you need to have some idea about risk management. So we brought in SCOSO framework and the ERM framework, and we said that that concept should be there. Then we brought up costing. Then we brought up management accounting or financial management. And in the end, we got up so costing, management accounting, financial management. And in the end, we got up IT. And we said that, see, all of this knowledge is important because without this, a CPA would not be able to render the job that he's or she's supposed to do properly. So this was the structure earlier. Now, post 2024, these guys realized that, see, it's no use to put a burden of, so we had regulation. So our core papers were what? Core papers were US GAAP, core papers were US tax, and core paper was audit. Now, these guys realized that, see, people who generally take CPA, they branch into three different courses. The first one, they take up a general corporate course, or they take up the course of a auditor, in which case accounting and auditing becomes the most important skill. Some of them go into taxes, and these guys actually become tax consultants, tax practitioners, tax experts. And then there's a very big field of forensics where IT becomes very important. And how are you going to detect fraud using IT as a base becomes very important. Or probably you work with IT based companies where the accounting models have to be developed by people who do CPAs in the US. So I realized that there's no point of burdening everything on one go. Also, you have to understand that in the US, the trend towards people taking up accounting is going down. Why? Because most of the work has become online. After COVID, there's a huge push in the amount of work that has come in out that has flown out of the US. Even things like taxes are completely online. So it is possible to do practically everything in the US online. You don't even need to be there if you want to pursue your client's case and represent them to the IRS. Everything can be done online. Things are very integrated. So the number of people who are taking this course in the US is slowly going down. Also because this is a course that is aimed for working professionals. So people generally are not getting so patient in ensuring that they have the eligibility after graduation to pursue this course. Also, there are other courses like AI and stuff that are gaining a lot of quick money to people in the US. So what they did, they realized that it's becoming very difficult. The success rate for CPA was not that great in the US. So what they did now after 2024 is this. They have ensured what is the basic knowledge that everybody needs. So they realized that very specialized topics like lease accounting, derivatives, government accounting, these are things that people would require only if they take option one. Similarly, taxes. There were such specialized areas for taxes which involved extensive tax planning. They decided that, see, when you study taxes, yes, there's some basics that everybody should know, but a detailed tax planning need not be known by every student. Probably it would make more sense for people to talk about tax planning when they take tax as a specialized study. Similarly, they said that, see, IT, which was earlier a part of BC, they said that, see, IT typically would need a lot of prominence, but not for everybody. Why should I bother it to anybody who is belonging to the first two categories? So we can make IT a little bit more interesting. And if for people who really want to go into IT specialization or forensics, we will get into a third kind of a discipline. So now what they have done is this. They have reduced portions in FAR and taxes. Now you have a core FAR, core audit. See, audit is something which has remained the same because audit is the specialization only of CPAs in the US. So audit remains the same. There's hardly anything that has changed in audit. And if you see the history, you will see audit was the most tricky paper in CPA for the simple reason, and we'll explain it to you as we go along. There are certain skills that CPA, AI CPA describes starting from very base level things like remembering and remembering and understanding. So it's a base level skill. Then you go to application. Then you go to the case study. Then you go to application, and then you go to evaluation. The highest skill that was there was evaluation. I will show you the skill matrix. And audit was the only paper that tested you for evaluation skill. Audit is a paper which you either understand or you don't understand. There's nothing in between. And in India, since there was still a lot of prevalence of people who used to take CPA or used to be even CAs, may have been people who've not worked much. So if you don't have a practical aspect, you can't clear the audit paper because theory part was less, practical part was very much. So they would actually try to mimic the actual environment. They'll give you the working papers for a auditor. They will give you the client's paper. They'll give you the SAP records, and then they will ask you questions. So earlier, this model was there only in audit. They used to approach audit paper as a paper whereby you will be given actual life scenario, actual working papers of the auditor would be given, actual SAP records of the client will be given. They will give you source documents and they will tell you, okay, now tell me what you have to do. How will you test the assertions? What kind of problem can be there? So you were expected to be an auditor in order to solve the audit questions. Now, after the 2024 changes, we call it CPA evolution that has happened. Now, what they have done is they have tried to mimic that approach in other papers. So it's not just theory, even in a paper like regulation, guys, which is like US taxes. Till last year, it was so easy to score above 1995 in regulation because it was a totally theoretical paper. I do the provisions, I do the questions, I solve the paper, and I'll get the full marks. But now they have mimicked audit in tax. That means they'll give you real source documents, they'll give you real forms, and now they will tell you, okay, fill it up. So there has been a shift from remembering, understanding, mugging up to really applying what you have done. Papers, especially the Sims, are now no longer concentrating on your theoretical understanding. They are giving you a real life scenario and they want you to apply yourself when the paper is on. So what is the case now? The core papers remain the same. Some like US taxes and FAR have reduced substantially in volume. And you have a choice of taking either of the three papers. You can either go, so this portion is now called bar. Okay, this portion has now become bar. This, this has now become TCP, tax planning, and this has now become ICP, ISC, which is more about IT specialization. Now, many students tell me, ma'am, which paper should I take out of all of these three? See, my interest is that you should clear the paper. So my suggestion is, unless and until you've had some direct knowledge of doing taxes in the US or very good knowledge about the IT industry, my suggestion is the safest bet is to go to bar. Because the paper here, since it's a specialized paper, the kind of paper that they will test you would be more practical. And it is easier for students from India to talk about costing and financial management and economics because we've been doing it for quite some time. And far the detailed topics, if you want to do, we anyways are going to do far in the far paper. So advanced topics like leases and government accounting and derivatives, we can do in par paper. So if you really want to master US GAAP, the level of the syllabus is a little more, but the chances of you clearing the paper is also very high if you take bar as a core paper, as a discipline paper. So now what we do, we'll do FAR, we'll do audit, we'll do reg very well, and then we're going to take one of the discipline papers to clear. But imagine the shift, guys. We have reduced 16 MCQ, we've reduced 1 TBS, but we've kept the time same as 4 hours. That means the complexity of the paper has gone up. Even though the syllabus has come down, the questions have come down, but the time has remained the same. That means there's been shift in the testing strategy for the FAR exam. And that is a shift that we're going to talk about more in the coming classes. Okay. So we have two MCQs of 25 questions each. That's going to be the question. And probably you will have 4 testlet of 7 sims each. I think it's 4. I'm not too sure about it, but I think it's around 4. Yes, guys? If anybody has a better understanding, please please mention it. Okay, I think it's 4 or 5 at the max. Okay, but total number is 7 where you have to write the sims. Okay, so what is a score weightage, right? Now, this is something which has been given by the AI CPA. So earlier, we used to have 50-50 for MCQs and SIMS, which remains the same. That means the most important thing is please ensure that you can't leave the sim towards the end. You have to train your mind. See, I somehow always feel as a faculty that everybody can clear all the papers if time is not a essential constraint. But if the constraint is time, then you have to train your mind to look at the information in the easiest way possible and then to answer in the shortest time possible accurately. So that's the reason why you have to understand that you cannot just focus on MCQs. You have to focus equally on the Sims because your mind will take time to catch at the right answer in the minimum possible time. Unless and until you practice it, it will be very difficult to do it at the time of your exam. So please understand that MCQs and Sims need to be given equal prominence even during preparation. Okay, because nothing will change in the exam suddenly. Okay. Now, see, these are the 4 skills that AICPA has spoken about. And I'll show you the AICPA paper, where for every topic they've told you what is the level of skill that could be questioned. The highest skill level is evaluation, but it is tested only in audit even now. That means for FAR, there are 3 skills that are important. This is the base level skills. So typically, if you have a question, if you have a topic that says that it is a remembering and understanding level skill will be tested, typically it will be a topic that is more MCQ based testing and they are not going to go very deep in those topics. That is the meaning of this. Okay, so I will show you how it will relate to the AICPA blueprint. So whenever you see a topic which says it is going to be tested on the remembering and understanding skill, understand that you don't have to dig too deep into it. Just understand the provisions. It will not be tested at a very complicated level. Anything which can be tested at the analysis level is a topic which can come in SIG. So this is the topic that I want you to do really well. And you need to know how to interconnect the topics. Now, this is something that they have been doing since 2024 a lot more. Okay, and here I want to tell you something, guys. See, when we sat for this paper, and I'm talking about, I think 2009-10, that was the year in which I went to the US to write this paper. Because at that point of time in India, this paper was not possible. There were no centers in India. So typically, what used to happen earlier was this: when I could not go and afford to take holidays for such a long time and then be in the US for 4 times. So what we used to do, we used to do all the 4 papers together, and then we used to go to the US, write all the 4 papers together, and come back, which meant a lot of burden, but which also meant that I knew the concept from all the 4 angles because the synergies of topics were clear. I knew how US GAAP is related to tax, I knew how tax was related to audit, I knew everything. Now, the benefit with you guys is that you are taking a paper one at a time. So your burden gets reduced, which is really good, especially considering that you're working professionals. So, do I advocate taking more than 1 paper at a time? The answer is no. In my suggestion, it's an excellent opportunity. Take 1 paper at a time, clear it, move to the next paper. But the drawback is you will not know the synergies that well. So, what you have to do is see, they will never test you on tax in the FAR paper, but they will try to push the boundary a bit to understand whether you understand the link between FAR and in taxon. So you should be able to understand that a gap PNL is used to derive at a taxable. So when you, like in India, if you do a corporate taxation, if I file a corporate tax return for a corporate client in India, I actually start with the PNL and then we take the laws which is written in the Indian tax code and then we convert that accounting PNL to the taxation PNL. Now, the same concept will be done in the US. So, what is very important, guys? First, that you need to know how topics are interlinked. So, not only within FAR, but how is FAR related to audit? How is FAR related to tax? All of those synergies you should be able to think, at least stretch yourself to think. That's the reason whenever we take a topic in Pixalearn, we try to let you know that, see, this topic is related to audit, this topic is related to gap, to tax. That interlinkage is very important. Even when you're studying, your focus should be to understand the interlinkages first within different topics for FAR. So they are going to mix plant capitalization, depreciation, amortization, impairment, all of it together to know whether you know the full picture or not. So don't master each skill level separately, but you should know how everything should come down to common sense level. As a student, I had a very strong uh, philosophy, which was concept once understood is common sense. So what you have to do is, let's say in FAR we have a lot of topics. Okay, I have broken down FAR into 40 separate topics. Okay, so each of these topics we master on its own, but it should be like we're stitching all the topics together. So I can plug one and I can unplug the other. So it's like you have a modular approach. You can take one topic, you can connect it with anything, and it should make sense. So the reason I'm telling you this is FAR is a cumulative paper. We are going to take the concepts one by one, but they are not discrete concepts. We are going to layer it up one after the other. So we are going to build your base. And so I'll give you small examples. Let's say I'm doing taxes. I will not do taxes just like that. I will first explain you the cornerstone of fundamentals of accounting, which goes as much as to matching concept. So from there, I'm going to link the basic journal entries and then how you draft your balance sheet and all of that. And then when we do, let's say, OCI entries, when we do taxation entries, we will just see how it is a special application of the basic concepts alone in accounting. 1 second, guys. I think I forgot to switch on the power. Okay. So it's important to have a comprehensive approach where you layer the concepts one above the other, which also means that if you don't study with me, I cannot take you to topic 10 if you have not mastered the first two, three topics. Okay, so the question paper format is very conceptual. If you do not have an idea of how to intermingle the boundaries, it is going to be difficult for you to understand what the paper is asking for. Okay, so what used to happen earlier was this: FAR used to have nearly 10 to 20%, around 15% of the base level skill, and at the max 30% of the analytical level skill. But now, if you look, they have exceeded or they have increased emphasis on analysis. That means Sims would be a little more complicated, will have a little more weightage. And the base level skill has come down. If you see this, the base level skills have come down. So basically, there has been a shift from easier to a little more complicated paper, which means that there has to be a shift in your preparation strategies as well. Okay. Okay. Now see, this I'm going to talk about in much greater detail when I show you the actual AI CPA blueprint. But remember that two very big changes has happened. First is that the state and local government First is that the state and local government is completely out here. That means earlier there used to be one big segment called government accounting, which has now shifted to bar. You don't have it tested in FAR, which means, very simply put, that if you want to go and make the accounts of a government entity in the US, typically it would mean that you have gone that first level, accounting and auditing specialization. So we don't keep it here. We have pushed it in the bar section. Only one small area where you just need to know the accounting delta and you need to know the fund classification. So basically, at a theoretical level, we are going to do it. We are not going to dig very deep into state and local governance. That's number one. Second, the core concepts that used to be done earlier. A lot of theory was there about what are the core principles. A lot of theory was there before we started entire FAR. They have done away with the entire theory. That means the entire paper has become practical. So listen, in US, there are two sets of accounting standard. The first set is for profit entities, okay, and for non-profit entities. And so both of these would have US GAAP. And we would have another one. 1 second. No. I mean, yeah, that's good. Many people have complaints about government accounting, Shruti. But as a faculty, I think that's bad news, and I'll tell you why. Okay. And the second set of standards are government accounting standards. So if you are doing the accounting of a government entity, let's say a local government, a state or a county in the US, you cannot follow US GAAP. You have to follow government standards. So this typically has moved from FAR and has gone into BAR. What do we have now? We will first do accounting for profit entities, and then which is actually double entry accrual concept of accounting. And then we are going to apply the same concept, but we are going to do it for not for profits. Why? Because not for profits have a different need than for profits. So we are going to deal with for profit entities US standards for accounting, and then we are going to do for not for profits in great details, and we're going to just touch upon the government accounting standards so that we know what is the difference between the US GAAP and the government accounting standards. So in very simple language, there's something called fund accounting. We are going to do a little bit of the concept of fund accounting in the US. That's it. The detailed accounts have gone away from FAR and now they're a part of BAR. Okay, so that's the major shift that has happened. So this theory is actually gone away. We are going to start straight away with practical, and the government accounting has gone away. In my opinion, both are bad news. Okay, also, one another thing I'll tell you. Earlier, when you used to have select transactions, there used to be topics like derivatives. There used to be topics like non-monetary exchanges. That means in-kind exchanges. There used to be topic like leases. There used to be topic like revenue recognition in a lot of details. Okay. So, so many of these very detailed topics that used to be tested earlier has gone away from FAR to BAR now. So what is the good news? The good news is that FAR has become relatively lighter than what it was earlier. What's the bad news? The bad news is that the fundamentals have to be extremely strong now. See, as a student and then later on as a faculty or as a mentor, whatever you say, my experience has been that the more difficult the topic, the easier the questions. So government accounting was irritating, was not interesting. But the questions used to be very easy. Once you know the topic, the marks used to really go up in accounting. But the moment you take away leases, you take away employee benefits, you take away derivatives, you take away detailed, complicated revenue recognition concepts, what is left is actually core skills. What is left is accrual concept of accounting, which you're going to use in taxation, which you're going to use in not for profits. So whatever is left has become extremely important and very, very conceptual. So if it's easy paper, if it's the easy concept, the paper can become really difficult in case if you don't know how to approach the paper. Okay, so it's very important that we focus on the core concepts. Your imagination has to grow. We interlink the topics because there's a high chance now that you'll get a question which will test you on 2 or 3 areas together. Earlier, it was not the case. We used to look at a question, say, okay, this is from not for profits. Oh, this is from this. Now they will mix 2, 3 concepts and they will test you together. So the paper has become more conceptual and applied now. Okay. Also, there's a kind of question that never used to test earlier. Like they'll give you something wrong. And then they will tell you, okay, tell us where is it that we have gone wrong. These kind of questions never used to come earlier. Now that thing is called discrepancy identification. So it will give you a wrong balance sheet, they'll give you a wrong P&L, and now they will tell you, okay, tell us what is it that we did wrong. That takes a little bit more detailed understanding of the topic than simply a drop down where you have to choose which one is the correct answer, which one is the wrong answer. Okay. Okay. So a lot of theory has removed. Say total government accounting is totally removed. Okay, so if you look at the AI CPA syllabus, and my very strong suggestion to all of you, see guys, even though I am with UWorld, I am going to teach you in the hierarchy of concepts. I'm not going to follow UWorld hierarchy or Becker hierarchy or Miles hierarchy. What we do is completely conceptual. Our classes are more concerned about giving you the concepts. So we'll give you the concepts that I feel are important in terms of hierarchy. So we are not going to follow, let's say module 1 says something in Becker, module 2 says something in UWorld. I'm not going to follow that. I'm going to follow concepts. So you can link one concept to the other. When you follow your syllabus, my suggestion is follow this. There are a couple of pages. If you are a person who follows a physical copy, it's not a bad idea to take a printout of this area. Just take a printout of 5-6 pages, which gives you the syllabus. Wherever they have ticked on the analysis skill, whichever topic, you should be mentally prepared that if they give you a sim in this area, you should be able to solve it. Okay. Another very big delta is earlier they used to stop at supporting documentation. Okay, I'll give you an example for this. Okay, let's say I'm going to test you on how you should capitalize your asset. Okay, so I give you a real life scenario. I'll tell you, okay, there was a machine that was bought. This was a trial. This was the day when the engineers came in, and then we did the trial, and then we sold the trial goods, and then we'll give you a lot of data, and then they will ask you, okay, tell me how much should I be capitalizing the asset? When should the capitalization happens? Right? Earlier, it used to be like a data. They'll give you a question. Now that data would be mimicking the real life. So what they will give you is this. They will not give you the data. They'll give you the source data. That means they will give you the CMC approval. Okay, this was the approval for buying a $8 million machine from Germany. Then they will give you the actual loading, unloading documents. Probably they'll give you the letter of credit. So they'll give you something which will imply all of that data which used to come earlier to you like a direct question format. Have I been able to explain myself, guys? Are you able to understand the shift that I'm trying to talk about? Nowhere earlier we were giving, nowhere earlier we were being given a source data. We generally used to start with the source data that has already come in a format which is a part of your question. Now they're not starting there. They're starting from the source data. They'll give you the actual last page of the SAP accounting record. Let's say they are testing you on debtors, whether the debtors provisioning is correct or not. They will actually give you the aging analysis. They will actually give you the debtors balance. Let's say the balance sheet, the SAP dump. They'll give you all of that, which simply means that if you can visualize the data, if you have worked, it's going to be an awesome thing for you guys because you'll be able to relate to the question so easily. If you haven't worked, then you need to really understand how to interpret the data practically because you can't solve the questions till the time you really visualize and understand the corner concepts. So any of you who have been working in this field, you already have an advantage. For those of you who have not handled the accounts, let's say, but you handle the auditors, you have somewhere or the other managed the accounts, and that practical knowledge and how you're going to apply it in the exam, that is going to give you a very, very big edge. Okay, so two things when you look at the curriculum, be careful about. So every time when we do certain things in the class, this should be your thing. Okay, I did this, I did this, I did that. Should be your yardstick. That yes, I've covered the syllabus. Everywhere when it shows analysis, you have to dig deep and ensure that you've done all the concepts so well that if you're being tested on it at a sim level, you should be able to solve. See, guys, earlier they used to be easy sims. Sims would come, we would just drop down, select. Nowadays, they have done away with those easy sims. Every sim is conceptual, every sim takes time. Okay, there would be some one or two sims which can be breather, but typically sims don't expect an easy sim now. It is all applied sim, which is happening now. Okay, so one big change is all that conceptual framework questions have been removed. Second big change, they're not starting with the question, they are starting with actually the source data. Okay, so you want to apply this. Yeah, so that's number two. See, let's say they'll give you a wrong statement of changes in equity or a wrong statement of comprehensive income. Can you see this? This is something which used to be there earlier also, but it never used to get tested like that. Now they are going to test it to you specifically. So they'll give you a wrong notes, let's assume, and you have to tell them why is it that the note is wrong and how will you correct it. Okay, so that is one big change. Cash flows, again, there are small changes that we are going to emphasize and we go to that particular topic. Earlier, they used to be direct and indirect method, but nobody uses direct method for cash flows. They have done away with that. Okay. Most of these topics, can you see cash flows? Again, you have to do at the analysis level. See, consolidation has reduced significantly. Most part of it has gone to bar, but some major part has also stayed around with FAR paper as well. Okay. So everything which has, now what I have done is I have connected and I have colored all the areas which needs analysis level skill. Things which do not need analysis level skills, remember you could go through it and you would know that, okay, these are the areas where if you know the concept, it is great. You don't need to go and dig too deep. Okay. So this is for not for profits. And if you see not for profits are generally not going to be tested at the analysis level. You're going to test them at the application level. Okay. So the not for profits, it's enough to do the concept. We don't have to dig that deep. Okay. Again, for government accounting, we are not going to dig too deep in government accounting. We're just going to stay at the basic concept that you should be able to understand how is government accounting different from the for profit or the US accounting. Topics like segment, employee benefit, all of these topics have been removed. Now they are part of bar. It is not a part of FAR anymore. So they have split FAR into FAR and bar. The more advanced topics have gone into bar. The basics have stayed with FAR. The basics of US GAAP, so everything to do with the basic financial statements, assets, liabilities measurement, some EPS, all of those are going to be tested in FAR. But topics like pension plans, segment reporting, consolidation, they have now gone into bar. Okay. There's one small addition that has happened, very small addition, that earlier we used to just check the budgets and the ratio analysis used to be something that was an easy exercise. We'll just give you ratios and then it is more about interpreting the ratios. Now they're going to give you variances. Now see, when you're doing the audit, guys, you will see that start first with the variance, right? Year to date, quarter to quarter, we start with variances. Variances are a very important yardstick for gauging the veracity of the documents. So this time, when they are checking you for ratios, they have also emphasized the variances. It is not just the ratios, it is the variances also that have been emphasized, which was not there in the earlier syllabus, but now you have to emphasize not only on the budget versus actual and the ratios, but the variances and the interpretation of variances will become very. Okay. Then you go to key skill. Now can you see, if I go to cash, they can test you an analysis. Now we've gone to balance sheet, debtors, analysis. You can get a same inventory, analysis. Okay. Property, plant and equipment, analysis. Investments. So when you're investing, like debt and equity, you will see that they're not testing you on the analysis level skill. So for investments, expect a question on MCQs, probably not on SIMS that much. One question that a lot of people ask me is, ma'am, how is it different from Ind AS? Now, as a faculty, when I'm teaching you, I am not going to teach you what is Ind AS, what is IFRS, and then what is US GAAP. I'm not going to do that. But at very fundamental level, I will try to test. See, Ind AS and IFRS, there's a lot of synergy for the simple reason that we have been under the British rule for 200 years and it's not easy. So basically, whatever they do, we just replicate them and we call them Ind AS, right? US GAAP and IFRS have been fundamentally different in key areas. Investment in equity securities is one big area. Investment in property, plant, and equipment is another big area. Investment inventory is another big area. So wherever needed, see earlier, I remember when we sat for our papers, we used to actually be tested on US GAAP versus IFRS because that is a time 2009-10 when there was a huge attempt being made to converge US GAAP and IFRS together. But then they did away with that. They reached a point when now US says I am not going to synergize because I do not follow IFRS entirely. So I'll give you some very key differences in IFRS and in Ind AS. We agree with revaluation reserve. We say that if you want, you can just revalue your assets. So you will see companies like LIC, when we came up with an IPO, we did revalue the assets. In the US, they've had a very bad history of fair value accounting. So after the Enron fiasco, they don't want to get into fair values a lot. So you will see revaluation has been completely ignored in US GAAP. You cannot do the revaluation. One another area is you. So earlier it used to be a part of your syllabus. Nowadays, still wherever the differences are very stark, I'm going to talk about it. But that is just for your increased understanding. It is not going to be tested in your exam. And at no point of time I would refer to Ind AS, IFRS, and then US GAAP wherever it's possible, because we Indians are we so used to thinking of a particular mentality which is aligned with IFRS. So most of the time, whenever I say IFRS versus US GAAP, it will be Ind AS versus US GAAP also. But is it a part of your curriculum? The answer is no. You will not be tested on this area. It is no longer an active part of being tested in your exam. Okay. So can you see intangibles, investments, all of this not on the analysis level scale. Again, assets, liabilities, fundamental financial statements, all of this at the analysis level. So dig deep in these areas. Okay. Dig very deep in these areas. Okay, so this I'm going to leave it for the time being. We are going to take every topic and we are going to go and dig very deep when it comes to understanding these. Okay. Again, when you refer to this, you will understand what are the major differences that has happened. Revenue recognition, we've siphoned it off and we have put it in the bar section now. The special cases, okay, the basics are there, the special cases have removed. Again, there's a lot of change in areas like derivatives, foreign currency, business combinations, non-monetary exchanges. All of those are now shifted to bar, no longer a part of FAR. Okay. More of this when we are going to take it topic by topic. But I think all of you are clear with the major changes that has happened and how are you going to use the AI CPA. Can I expect that all of you know about this now? Anybody, any questions on this? Anybody, any questions on this? So my sincere suggestion is for every topic, if you're following UWorld, UWorld has given you that yardstick before every topic, whether it is to be tested in application skill or analysis skill or remembering skill. So that is already there in UWorld. For the others, I think it's a very good barometer for every topic to know what needs to be tested at analytical level skills. That area you should be very, very clear. Okay, what should be your exam strategy? Okay, so I think the first part of the deliverable for today's session is clear, which is what is it that your exam will test you on, what is the syllabus, what has been the change in the syllabus since the last year. Is this clear to everybody? Can we move ahead now and can we go to the next section, which is your strategy section? Everybody? Okay. Now, see, in my opinion, there are 3 C's. If you can follow all the 3, there is no reason why you would not be able to take this paper. My personal target is end of August. Everybody of you should be able to write your papers. It has happened in regulation for us. It has happened in audit for us. Most of the people in the batch are writing the papers within 4 weeks of completing our sessions. So it is possible, provided you can spend the next 12 weeks or 13 weeks really well. Okay, so what do we need? We need 100% coverage. You can't leave anything in CPA. Okay, you can't leave any, because even though they tell you that there is a section for every area, but the paper is highly unpredictable. Sometimes they give you 50% of the MCQs coming from just one topic. The paper is completely unpredictable since the pass mark is very high and the sims a lot depend on your mental framework on the day of your exam. You can't leave any session. Don't leave any topic. That's the first key mantra if you want to clear CPA in first attempt. Don't leave anything. So 100% coverage is important. This I already told you. Since the sims are very applied sims, you need a lot of conceptual clarity, not only within the topic, but inter topics. But this, according to me, is the master thing. Every day, see, ultimately just make a static strategy and stick to that, which means for first 3 weeks, all I want you to do is, guys, I want you to mark your time. Just let me know, let's say I will complete a topic in the class and I will tell you what you have to do at your place. Your deliverable is MCQ and SIMS. The topics that I will do in the class, you will have to complete all the MCQs in that area and then sit for the SIMS and complete the SIMS. If you are able to do that for the topics that we are covering one after the other, we are sorted. So all you have to do is, we have 6 hourly sessions starting from next week. Whatever we are teaching in the class, you're supposed to go back home. And this is what I'm going to say. People who are following Becker, people who are following UWorld, or people who are following Miles. Generally, I have these 3 material providers who are registered for my class. For all the 3 of you, My suggestion is once you understand the concept, you can take your time, you can go through the module, you can go through whatever lecture you want. But for me, the day when you complete the MCQ in that area and the day when you sit for the Sims in that area, that is the time I will know that you have completed your topic. So whether you need my lecture, whether you need to re-listen to my lecture, whether you need UWorld's or Becker's National Faculties lecture, whether you want to go through UWorld or Becker, that is your headache. My suggestion is, I'll tell you what is, according to me, is the best strategy for me. But my expectation is when you come, so I want to take a week time. Whatever I teach you in 6 hours in a week, I want you to finish everything at your end. When I say everything, it means if you want to make notes, make your notes. But you have to complete all the MCQ and all the Sims in that area before we start next week. So, what I want you to do is this for the next 3 weeks, I want you to just maintain time, which means on a weekly basis. Okay, I don't want it daily. On a weekly basis, you should tell me that, okay, whatever you're teaching in 6 hours time, I am needing, let's say, 20 hours to finish this. So when you do it for 3 weeks, you know on an average how many hours you're taking on a weekly basis. It will be somewhere in the range of 18 to 22 hours. I don't think it's going to be more than that. This 18 to 22 hours will not include the 6 hours of teaching time because that's a passive time. And that is the reason most of our lectures are on a weekday because I don't want you to spend half of your weekend only on listening to lectures because this is passive learning. So what you have to do is this. Let's assume on an average you're needing 20 hours to complete what? All the MCQs and all the Sims in that area. What you have to do is this. Once you arrive at this magic number, all you have to do is 1 week, 1 week, 1 week. What should I do to get at 20 hours? So if I were you, I will do something like this. Let's say I will say, okay, I need 2 hours every day on a weekday, and I will put 5 hours each on a weekend. Please keep half of your weekend free. You are parents, you are married, most of you maybe. So you have commitments to your family. Keep half of, because see, whatever you are going to pick up now, you're going to follow it for 1 year. So please keep a steady routine. I have had a history of people who have burnt out. I have had students who got panic attacks. Don't overwork yourself because what you ever have to do, you have to do it for 1 full year. And there is no time in which you will just take a leave of 20 days and you will only study. That is not going to happen. So make a routine, a consistent routine that you say, okay, every weekday I will study for 1.5 hours. Maybe on Thursday and Friday when I don't have my class, I'll take it to, let's say, 2 hours or 2.5 hours. And over the weekend, I will study for 5 hours or 6 hours and I will wrap it up. Just make that routine. And then every day you have to think of 1 week. Okay, this week I need 20 hours. If I don't catch it up on a Monday, I will make it up on a Tuesday. But over a week, try to follow the routine that you have set for yourself. So all you need to do is 3 weeks time, follow a routine. The moment you know how many hours are needed, how are you going to give that hour? Then we just need to name 1 week, whatever we are teaching you, you should be able to finish it. That's it. Okay. So what should you do? What I do, I have broken the entire thing into 40 topics. And I think that I have already shared with you in the, so if you go to the Pixalearn LMS, you will see I've already uploaded the schedule with you. Sorry, every week I will update the schedule so that at any point of time, you will have a live idea of how many more classes we are going to take and what topic are we going to start next. Okay. So you go to CPA Finance. Everybody has a Pixalearn login now, guys. Everybody has Pixalearn login. Anybody here who does not have a login? Okay. Now see, I want you to log into this course, which is the new curriculum that we are going to do. We are going to build up this course. We don't have everything put here. What I've done is I've just broken it down into topics. Okay, there are 2 or 3 things that I want to tell you. For the live class from next week, that means from Monday onwards, I want you to click here and you will start the session for your Zoom link morning 7 to 9 a.m. I have already given you the schedule. If you look at the schedule has already told you what is the topic. So ideally, I've broken the entire curriculum into 36 sessions. And each of these 36 sessions, for UWorld people, I've given you the reference for UWorld module. For Becker, guys, I've given you the reference for Becker modules. So I will tell you, I have finished this topic today. And ideally, when you go to FAR 1, module 1, you should be able to do this area. Similarly for UWorld guys, when I give you this, you can refer here and you can say, okay, I want to complete the MCQs of these areas. Okay, so this is your reference point. I have tentatively, we should be able to complete our session by end of July. That means 12 weeks, 36 sessions of 2 hours each. Okay, so 6 hourly, 1 week. Okay, so 72 hours curriculum, 6 hours per week. So 12 hours, 12 weeks curriculum. And this we will update on a weekly basis. And now you know which modules we have been covering in UWorld and in Becca. Everybody, is it okay? Anybody, any questions on the schedule? Okay, so that's one thing that I want you to see real time in case you want to understand what new topic that I'm going to take. I am not following Becker hierarchy. I'm not following UWorld hierarchy. I am going by concepts. As we layer the concepts, I want to ensure that the first concept which is needed to take the second is already driven home. Okay, so if I don't teach you accounting, accrual accounting, and if I don't explain you how various aspects of assets are there, I cannot take you to cash flow. So even if somebody gives me cash flow in module one, mentally you are not there to do the cash flow easily. So I'm going to do the cash flow after all the basics have been covered. Okay, so that is how I'm going to take the sessions. Okay, again, under the general tab, see, I'm a very staunch believer of doing things practically. So I have most of my topics that I'm going to teach you, I'm going to refer to some of the other balance sheet or P&L. Okay. So what I've done is, if you look here, I have uploaded some of the companies' balance sheets, which are bigger companies. My suggestion is take any two US companies' balance sheet and take one service. And so I have given you 4 balance sheets here. You can download it on your own. Whichever company you want, you can just download it on your own. I have taken the example of Amazon, Tesla, uh, Coca-Cola. So take one FMCG or take one physical product and one services industry so that you'll get an idea of what we are talking about. Okay. So I have uploaded this. Just click on the start button. All the 4 will be uploaded. And in case if you want to have some other company, let's say you are very good with the software industry in India. So you can take a software giant in the US and take and compare. So you have to be familiar with the industry so that you can interpret the financials really well. So I've taken Google, which is Alphabet, I've taken Amazon, I've taken Coca-Cola, and I've taken Tesla. Okay, you need to have some idea about it, but let's say I had a student who had a very good idea about the medicine industry in India, because this guy had clients from medicine industry. So I told him, please go and take a US giant and take a US balance sheet. So what you have to do is this, guys, just go to Google and type form 10K 2023 and the name of the US company. So what is 10K? It's the annual return of companies in the US. So what I'm asking Google to show me is Form 10K PDF for the year 2023. So like that, I've downloaded it. You can also download it at your end. But my suggestion is, so what I'm trying to tell you is, whenever we are doing a particular topic, try to have a visual of how it is going to show in the real balance sheet, in the real P&L. Just don't let it be a part of your academic study. Try to make it as practical as possible. Okay, so when you look at notes, even when you do audit later, you're going to refer to actual audited financial statements. Okay, so uh, ideally, when I was a student, this is what I did. Like in real life, I have a lot of practical experience of ITC because I've audited that company. I was working there for some time. So generally, I have a visual of a Indian company's balance sheet P&L notes and a US company's balance sheet P&L notes, because when I do that, it's so much easier for me to relate to it. So have one or two such companies balance sheet and the P&L and all the accounts in your head and follow it, which you feel you can relate. Okay, is this clear? Okay, a very quick question, guys. Anybody, any understanding of how many months or how many years of comparative data you have to provide for P&L in the US? Guys, any idea? P&L in the US and balance sheet in the US. How many years? Is it the same? 2 years, 3 years, 1 year? Comparatives, guys? So it is question like this that I want you to know answers of. And probably it is not written anywhere in your FAR exam, but I want you to do this practically. So when we are doing FAR, we will not just do it for clearing the exam. We will also do it to relate to it practically, which will help us to clear the exams. Okay. So that's another thing. I have already uploaded it. If you have this other company that you feel is good, please download that. But you should be able to understand some part of their understanding, their working. Otherwise, if I tell you Tesla and you have no idea about what Tesla is into, you need to know, okay, Tesla is into SpaceX, Tesla is into Boring Company, Tesla is into, let's say, X.AI, which is the sixth company so you should have some idea about the industry for which you have taken the 10 case. Okay, so that's another thing. So every time you do something, you should go back and refer to a balance sheet. In fact, I have gone a step ahead and I've tried to cull out balance sheet in areas which is very difficult to see, like, discontinued operation. I was so intrigued to know which is the company that, US allows you to follow LIFO method of inventory valuation. I actually wanted to know who does it and why do they do that. And that knowledge came to me, but after a lot of trial, error, and thing. But that is how we are going to study. We are going to make it a very live class. Okay, that's another thing. So how do I want you to study? How are you going to make use of these classes? The first thing is, okay, what I want you to do is MCQs. Last, I think 3 terms that I've been teaching, people spend a lot of time reading the material. My suggestion is I have done that job for you. What I want you to do is, this is the ideal way of my recommendation. Whatever you feel good, you can do, but try to experiment it for the 3 weeks. After 3 weeks' time, you should know what should be your teaching studying strategy. What I would suggest is I am taking really exhaustive classes. So the material that I'm giving you is good enough for you to understand and solve all the MCQs. So if you are there in the class, if you follow the class really well, for that particular area, I would want you to just go after the class and sit and do the MCQs. If you can do the MCQs, and after you've done all the MCQs, see, I don't want you to judge yourself. I don't want you to see how many MCQs you're getting correct. But the only thing that I want you to do is, every time you do an MCQ, you should read all the 4 answer choices. Why is a particular thing correct? Why is a particular thing incorrect? Just read the explanation for all the answer choices. And if you are answering it incorrectly, you should be able to know why you got it wrong. But MCQs, you should not judge yourself. MCQ should be like incremental learning platform. So after I've done a particular topic in the class, go ahead, read that PPT, because I'll upload the PPT. Whatever I'm teaching in the class, like this PPT, I will upload tomorrow in the class, tomorrow morning. So if you want to refer to it, you can do that. The PPT and the lecture will be uploaded either by the end of the day or early next morning. The moment you see that, you just have to go to the PPT once more and immediately go and solve all the MCQs in that area. Once the MCQs are solved, sit down and do all the sims. Now, sims should not be attempted before the MCQs. Understand that sims are limited. Whether you're following Becker or UWorld or whatever, sims are limited. So I don't want you to see the answers, and I want you to do the sims only after you've done all the MCQs. Because when you do it like that, no, then you're testing yourself, and mark the time when you're doing the sims. Do it topic wise. Every time we do a topic, do the MCQs, and I'll teach you how do you mark the MCQs. Mark the MCQs so that when you revise, you should be able to bring down the MCQs from, let's say, 100 to only 50 or 40, not more than that. So reduce the MCQs for your first revision by at least 60%. Otherwise, you've not done a good job. So after my lecture, immediately go do the MCQs and then the sims. And after that, read your module if you want to. Because by this time, you would know exactly everything. You've already done the MCQ, so you know the concept. Now, when you read your material, everything will fall into place. That is my suggestion. But if you feel that, no, after this, I want to first read the material and then do the MCQ, you are free to do that. But please remember, my expectation is that you should do the MCQ completely before you come for the next lecture. That means after 1 week, the next week when you come in, you should have finished all the MCQ and the sims of the earlier lectures. Okay? Flag the questions. I'll show you how you do it on UWorld. For people in Becker, I'm sure you know how to do it. If you don't know it, you'll have to figure out how to every question can be flagged. Why are we flagging the questions? First, it gives a customized kind of a thing. And second, I reduce my revision time to half or even less than half. because next time I will not do all the questions. I will only do flagged questions. Okay. Please do the MCQs first. And after you've done all the MCQs, you're very clear with the area, then you sit with the SIMs. Do not leave the SIMs to the far end. Your mind has to be trained for solving the SIMs. So do it topic wise, complete the MCQ, complete the SIMs, go to the next topic. For people who leave the SIMs to the fag end, you have left 50% of the paper. Your mind has to be trained to solve the SIMs. Do not make this mistake. Okay? What happens if you have a problem with a particular MCQ? My suggestion is, since there are people with different platforms, take a screenshot of the question and the answer and put it on the WhatsApp group. Whoever wants to answer can answer. I am on that group. If nobody answers, I will answer. But if you have a question which has a doubt, do not wait till the fag end. Put it immediately on the group, the question as well as the answer. Please understand the question as well as the answer. Okay? Okay. Mid-sectional, I will upload test for UWorld, guys. Okay, I will upload test both for MCQ and for SIMS, and I will let you know when the tests have been uploaded. For people who are doing Becker, there are mid-sectional tests that are there. So the way we complete, you will know which topics has been done. Please take the mid-level test as and when it comes. For people in UWorld, I will let you know whenever we complete an area. I will devise some midterm tests. Please take those tests, guys, because I'll have an idea of what you're doing in those tests. It's a faculty-led platform, so I exactly know what questions I'm giving you and whether you've been able to solve it or not. Okay? Oh, sorry, guys, I changed, forgot. What do you need to clear FAR? You need 3 revisions. How do you need 3 revisions? Do it parallelly, guys, okay? After the first 3 weeks, when the first topic has been done, start revising. So ideally, your methodology of preparation should be like this. Every Sunday or Saturday over the weekend, keep at least 1.5 hours for revision. Okay. Every platform gives you a choice to make a dummy test for yourself. I will show you how you do it in UWorld. For people in Becker, it's very easy. What you have to do is, if it's possible, after 3 weeks, I want you guys to take a 25 marks paper and so on a cumulative basis. Whatever topics you finish, choose those topics, take a 25 marks paper and solve it on a Sunday. Every Sunday, take a 25 marks paper. If you can do that, then by the time you sit for your paper and when you've done 10, 13 weeks of such test, you're a champion by that time. See, this is our strategy. We would want you to complete 25 MCQ plus 25 MCQ, let's say in maximum 45 minutes. I mean, I know this is not easy, but if you can do it within 45 to 50 minutes, it gives you a huge advantage for doing SIMS on time. So ideally, you should prepare during the weekdays. Over the weekend, you should do deep study. And every Sunday after the first 3 weeks, you should take a 25 marks paper cumulatively of the topics that you have already finished and start revising. So that by the time you complete the preparation with me, you have already revised all the earlier papers. 1 more week time, you're ready to go and sit your paper. Okay, so you need 3 revisions. What do you mean by revision? When you mark the questions, next time when you revise it, you do only marked questions. Next time again, from 100 questions, reduce it to 40. From 40, reduce it to 10, 12. Final revision will have only 12 questions, not more than that. Okay, so that marking is very, very important. Be consistent. If you've missed a class, the videos will be uploaded. Please go through the uploaded lecture. Understand, because see, FAR is a cumulative paper, guys. If you don't know the first concept, I can't layer on the second concept. So there will be gaps in your understanding which you don't fill. There will be gaps in your final paper as well. So if you miss a class, please follow the discipline. Do it at your end. If you have a query, I am always there to answer your queries. Okay, please remember, it doesn't matter how hard. So I have seen people who will go after my lecture. Try not to repeat the lectures, guys. Don't try to listen to the again lecture. Don't do that. Try to work really smart. See to it that when you give me 2 hours, you don't have to repeat those 2 hours at your end. Okay, so don't waste time. Time is money here. Okay, time man, I've already spoken about it. Okay, please do this. Please, whatever NTS and everything needs to be there after, say we are in May, right? End of June, I want all of you to apply for your NTS. July 2nd week, your date for finalize. You should book your exam dates by July 2nd week, guys. That's the motive for everybody who's taking this session. If you cannot keep your eligibility, NTS, exam booking on time, there is no point of doing anything else. So that should be your first priority. There are new joinees, apply for your eligibility. Be very careful whenever you get your NTS application. Mark that, do your NTS, book your exam by July mid. That's the main thing. Okay. Do not leave the sim. I've already told you, if you don't do the sims, you're not preparing your mind to take the right knowledge, the right data at the right time. Okay. MCQs, even if you want to revise 100%, please mark, because when you do it for the first time, that is the most important time. Okay. Okay, many people ask me this question. Ma'am, I'm doing Becker. Becker does not have everything. And shall I do something else? Answer is no. Any one material is good enough. I have seen people from Miles Clearing. I have seen people from UWorld, people from Becker. It doesn't matter. You just need one curriculum, guys. Okay, just one, any one curriculum. If you're following UWorld, very good. If you're following Becker, very good. Surgeon, whatever. All of these materials are in depth. And anyways, the material I'm giving you, I think is good enough for you to write your papers. All I need from you is one material which will help you do all the MCQs and the SIMs. What that material is immaterial. Don't try to take this and that. No, I want you to draw boundary and say मुझे इतना ही करना है, इसके बाद जाके पेपर दे देना है बस. Don't try to take a lot of other data. जितना हो सके बहुत सारा प्रिंट आउट्स मत लेना, because psychologically you, I don't want you to have something so big in your mind that you have to do. Okay, don't do that. Okay, we are going to do in the fag end, after we have completed this, AICPA released sample papers. So you will have to do what the AICPA has released before you take your exam. We'll have a session on this. We had it for regulation also. We want to have it for FAR also. Okay. Another very common mistake that people do. They take the mock exam 2 weeks before the final exam. They sit for a mock exam. Don't do that. Okay. So this, more of it when we go towards, let's say, end of June. We are going to talk about your mock exam, not now. Okay. Okay. Now, people who are from Becker, if you want to log off, you can log off. As far as Pixalearn is concerned, there is nothing complicated. So very simple LMS. This is going to be the link for Zoom. The schedule will be uploaded every week. There will be a change schedule that will be updated. I want you to take a dump of the form 10Ks because I want you to refer to it. I'm going to refer to it in my physical in my classes. AICPA blueprint, I've already told you. After the orientation today, I'm going to upload the LMS, the recording, as well as the PPT under the head orientation. And then we have all of these topics coming in. For every topic, okay, sometimes I ask you to take the Excel sheets. I'm going to upload them a day before the class. And I would want you to take a download of that before you come for my classes, because we are going to do a lot of things together in the class. I'm going to talk about it and I'm going to keep a message on the WhatsApp platform a day before. I would want you all to be ready before the class. Okay, so we are going to do a lot of questions together. We emphasize a lot on the Sims, and the Sims also we are going to do it through the Excel sheets. So before the class, I'm going to upload it and I'm going to drop a message in WhatsApp group. Before the class, please download it and be ready. And for every session, for I think for the first session I've already uploaded the PPT. For others, it will be uploaded later. But the PPT is referred, the recording, and all the extra material. Sometimes, for certain relevance, I might upload certain research papers here. The idea is to give you a practical relevance, but whether you want to do it or not is your priority. If you feel it may help you, just cursory go through it. If you feel that no, for your exam purposes, it may not be needed that much, but for an understanding level, it will be really great. So I might upload certain documents and I can ask you to go through it just for expanding your horizons. If you want to, you can do that. But everything will be uploaded and nothing will be there which I will refer and I will not upload. So Pixalearn LMS, is there any question to anybody, guys? Anybody, any question on Pixalearn LMS? Okay. What about UWorld? Now, those of you who have the UWorld access, okay? Now, I want you to understand that what you have in UWorld, what we are giving you in UWorld is a dual access. One is your self-study mode, guys. What is a self-study mode? So, if you have your UWorld access, this is how the access will look like. The course that you see here is a full course. These are the topics. The topics will have the lectures. The topics, one second. There is an ebook which is there with every topic. There is an ebook. Okay, so the entire ebook is there on the module on the platform itself. Okay, the best part about the ebook is if there is any search that you want to do, it's so easy to search it here. Okay, and it has been detailed even topic wise too. So this is the topic reference that I have given you in the schedule. 1.06, 1.07, 2 points. This is the reference that I have given you. This is the question bank that you have for every module. So you can go to the module if you want, you can create your own test. Otherwise, you just go to the full course and you should be able to see the full course. Okay. So these are the lectures. The full course comes here. For every topic, the lectures are there, the MCQs are there. This shows that there are total 43 MCQs in this area. So when I complete this area, you should be able to do all the MCQs. In the areas where there are sims, there will be sims also. Can you see this? So ideally, how you should do is this. After my class, let's say I've completed this area. After my class, you should be able to do all the MCQs, mark the MCQs. So how would you do the MCQs, guys? See, this is tutor MCQs. I want to do only UWorld, only AICPA. I want to do all, and then I start the quiz. So I want all whatever. What is the number here? The number is, oh god. So I want all the MCQs and I generate the MCQ list. And when the MCQ comes, this is the closest that will, even the final exam interface is going to be like this. This is how you flag the MCQs, guys. Okay, I can write the answer and then I can flag it. And then I can ask them to show the correct answer and you can read it. So my suggestion is go through the explanation for every question, whether it is right, whether it is wrong. Flag the question so that next time when you do it, you will see the flags. Can you see this? Next time when I do it, I will see which are the questions that have been flagged and I will only do the flagged questions. I will not do all the questions. Okay. And if you want to do the TBS, that is how you will do the TBS also. So this is the self-study mode. What I want to do is every time I complete a topic, I want you to go through the MCQs, solve all the MCQs, and then take the TBS after the MCQs have been over. Okay, so once you do that, that is your self-study. Where do you see the assignments that I will give you? I will show you that. So this is the faculty-led assignment, guys, okay? So this is your self-study mode. This is the faculty classes. So whenever I upload a question paper, that question paper name I'm going to tell you, you have to take answers to that question paper and I can see how you're performing. So this is the question paper that I would have set for you. So all of these quizzes, the moment you start, you will be able to take the quiz. Okay, so it's a very simple platform. You have, please remember, there are two interfaces. This will be my test that I'm going to give to you, and this will be your self-study mode where the lecture, the ebook, the MCQs, and the TBS are all given. Is this clear? Anybody, any questions? Rajeshi, is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you know what is